Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is May 6th, 2025, and Barcelona's incredible, amazing, stunning, beautiful Champions League run has come to an end after a very, very difficult match that ended 4-3 in favor of Inter Milan, 7-6 on aggregate. 13 goals in a semifinal that honestly felt like a final because both teams put out one hell of a performance. But unfortunately, our dream of winning the Champions League is over. But it's only over for this season because this team is incredibly, incredibly promising. This is the post match live analysis. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is the Barca News post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end, and where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting that discussion going. Tomorrow, we do have the Barca News podcast, which is where we discuss Barcelona news, and where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section. Having said all of that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to goal kits, kit bag, or fanatics. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. All right, let's talk about today's semifinal where Barcelona lost at the hands of Inter Milan in the second leg of the semifinals of the Champions League, 4-3 for an aggregate of 6-7 or 7-6, I guess I should say. Ending Barcelona's stunning, beautiful, amazing Champions League run, where unfortunately it did not happen, but we were very, very close to making it to the final. I'm absolutely gutted. I'm sad. I'm very disappointed. I thought we had a really, really good chance to making it to the final, but unfortunately did not happen. But nonetheless, all I have to say is I applaud this team. I'm incredibly proud of our team. I'm incredibly proud of our players, of our coach Hansi Flick, of our staff, because this was an absolutely amazing Champions League run. And to think about it, this is only our first season. This is our first season under Hansi Flick. This is our first season with under this new project. And it was a project not only that is brand new, but it was a project that had absolutely no signings. Because yes, we did sign Dani Olmo, who came in the place of Ilkay Gundogan. But besides that, it was a project with a new coach, new staff, no signings, and yet Hansi Flick took us all the way to the semifinals of the Champions League, where not only did we play against an incredible opponent, an opponent that has the best defense in Europe, but we played against a project that's been underway for 3 years. Let's not forget, Inter Milan have been building this project for the past 3 seasons. They've been improving, they've been growing, they've been adding signings, and we were able to compete against them toe to toe, and even we played better than them in many instances, and we were only one short step away from making it to the final. It wasn't enough, but this gives me plenty of hope, because yes, our Champions League might be over this season, but it's only over for this season because this team looks incredibly promising. Let's not forget, we have won the Spanish Super Cup against Real Madrid. We have won the Copa del Rey against Real Madrid. We are first in La Liga and with a very good chance of also winning La Liga. We made it all the way to the semifinals of the Champions League, and all of this in Hansi Flick's first season. This is not supposed to happen. New projects take time. First seasons of new projects are usually disastrous, and this is far from being disastrous. This is a dream start for a new project, a very young project with many young players who are not even adults, like Lamine Yamal, who's 17, Kouarsi, who sure is 18 now, but for most of the season, he was also 17 years old. So what does all this mean? It means that we have set one hell of a benchmark. Because remember, it's only going to get better from here. This team is only going to get better because it is our first season under Flick. Next season, the players will be better because they would have another a whole season under their belt of playing together and playing under Flick's system. This team is gonna get better because hopefully in the summer we'll be able to make reinforcements that only is going to make this team better. This team is gonna be better because players like Lamine, like Kouarsi, are gonna be a year older with more experience under their belt. This is only the beginning. And my God, what a beginning. Because if this is the bottom, if this is the benchmark that we have set, and this benchmark includes 2 trophies with the chance of a third one and a semifinal in the Champions League, I have to say I'm very, very excited for what's ahead. So don't get fooled by today's result. Don't think that it's all over. Don't think that that's it. You know, it's awful. Let's cry. Not at all. Today, I go to bed with my head held high. I go to bed proud of this team. I go to bed thinking, what a future awaits us. Because this team is only going to get better. And like I said in yesterday's podcast, don't let the Madrid media fool you, because for a while now, they've been setting up this narrative that if Barcelona don't win the treble, that somehow this season is a failure. And it's not. It's far, far, far from a failure, because even if we don't win any trophies this season is still successful. And by the way, that's impossible because we already won 2 trophies. So it's impossible to end this season trophyless. But even if we did, this season would be a total success, because let's look at where we were last season. Not only did we end last season trophyless, but we were absolute dog shit. We were getting humiliated left and right by all opponents in Europe, in Spain, top of the table teams, mid-table teams, bottom of the table team. Everybody was humiliating us. Villarreal, they scored 5 goals against us. Athletic Club de Bilbao, they scored 4 goals against us. Real Madrid scored 4 goals against us. Girona scored 4 goals twice against us. We were the absolute joke of Europe. We were the absolute joke of Spain. And this season, we were, and we still are, the best team in Europe. And to go from being an absolute joke to being the best team in Europe in such a short period of time, under a new coach in the first season with no signings, that is something to be very, very, very proud of. And I'm incredibly proud of this team. And again, I cannot wait to see what this team will do, because this team will only get better. So, am I disappointed in today's result? Absolutely. Am I sad? Yes. Am I gutted? 100%. Am I angry? No. Because this team today will walk out of San Siro with their head held high, because for the first time in many, many years, we are exiting a European competition with pride. Not by being the joke of Europe, but by being the most entertaining, most lethal team in all of Europe, the best team in Europe, which unfortunately today lost, because that's how sports are. You lose more than you win. And today, unfortunately, we lost, but this is not the end whatsoever. This is only the beginning, and it's only going to get better and better and better. Now, as far as the match, as far as the players, I do want to talk about the players. I'm not going to touch too much on the match. We all saw it. It was an incredibly entertaining match, just like the first leg. 13 goals in the semifinal is crazy. This could have and should have been a final, but this was an incredibly entertaining match. But as far as the players, I think it's time to start coming up with a plan for the summer transfer market, because if we want to improve, now that we've set our benchmark, if we want to continue to compete and get better, there are some players that need to go. I don't want to mention too many names, But let's start with the main one, Ronald Araujo. Ronald Araujo has once again cost us a Champions League. He cost us last season against PSG, and this season he cost us again. And for a team that wants to compete for all trophies, for a team that wants to be the best in Europe, we cannot have liabilities like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Araujo is one of the best defenders in Europe, but he has no place in Hansi Flick's team. And it's time for Araujo to bid adieu to Barcelona. Also, we definitely need reinforcements for our fullback positions because today, Koundé and Balde were not there, and I think it was felt. I think with those two players on the field, this could have been a completely different outcome. So we definitely need reinforcements for the fullbacks, reinforcements that can compete with Koundé and Balde. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to take away anything from what Eric Garcia did because today Eric Garcia was absolutely spectacular. The way he performed in a position that's not his, that he's only played twice in that, well, actually once, because the last time he played as a fullback, he played it on the left, but today he played as a right back. Eric Garcia was absolutely amazing. But that's not his position, and we need someone who's a specialist in that position that can compete with Koundé. Gerard Martin, very, very proud of this youngster. To think he was in third division last season, and today he stepped up. He didn't have a good first half, but he definitely stepped up in the second half. But nonetheless, that's not the kind of player that you want in a squad that aims to win the Champions League. We want someone with a little bit more talent, a little bit more quality that can compete with Balde. But again, I don't want to take away anything from what Gerard Martin did today because I think Gerard Martin and Eric Garcia left it absolutely all on the field. Now, more names. And this one's going to upset many people because it's already upset people in the past. But if I was Barcelona, I would definitely think twice about renewing Rafinha. Now, when Barcelona first mentioned renewing Rafinha, I said this in a video and it absolutely drove people insane. They were like, Mo, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Rafinha's been great. You're just a hater. You just hate him. But hear me out. Hear me out. I'm not going to knock Rafinha's season down because I would be an absolute idiot to do it. Rafinha has been our best performing player this season. He has Ballon d'Or numbers. And if he wins the Ballon d'Or, it would be 100% well-deserved. But I would consider renewing him because we've seen that unless Rafinha is playing in God mode, there is no Rafinha, right? There's no middle for Rafinha. Rafinha's either God mode, and he's absolutely amazing, or otherwise, he's completely a ghost. And that's a problem because in matches like these, like against Inter Milan, if you're not having God mode day, that's fine. But at least you have to have presence on the field. And today, Rafinha didn't have any. Yes, he scored a third goal. Don't get me wrong. And he has been scoring goals since the FIFA international break. But since then, he has been ghost. He has reverted back to the old Rafinha, which worries me because I have no guarantees that Rafinha is going to be as good this season, next season. It worries me because Rafinha was not good for 2 seasons in a row. Then he's having a great season now. But there are no guarantees that he's going to be a great next season, the same he is right now. And if this was a company, which that's how clubs should be ran, like a company, like a business, he would be in a deficit, right? 2 bad seasons versus 1 good season. That's a -1. So I would put the brakes on his renewal. I'm not saying sell Rafinha in the summer. I'm not saying give him the boot. Not at all. I'm just saying pump the brakes. Let's wait and see what he does next season. And if next season he does as good as he did this season or close, sure, renew him. But right now, to rush to extend the contract of someone's whose contract doesn't even expire till 2027, it's not like it expires this summer or he's entering the last year of his contract. No, we still have 2 more years. Pump the brakes. Let's see how he does. If he does well, if he does as good as this season or close enough, sure, renew him. But for now, pump the brakes because since the FIFA international break, Rafinha has reverted back to his old self, and you can't have that in the Champions League. A team that aspires to win a treble needs their players present all year round. Now, I'm not saying Rafinha needs to be God mode every single match, but on the matches where he's not God mode, at least he needs to be present. And that's not something that happens. He's either God mode or complete ghost. So that's what I want to say in general about the players. If we want to aspire for all three trophies, we definitely going to need reinforcements this summer. We're going to need to improve some positions. But nonetheless, I'm very, very incredibly proud of this team. I'm very sad. I'm very gutted that we're out of the Champions League, but we still have La Liga. I think that this team needs our support more than ever. I really hope that the fans in Barcelona can welcome the team when they come back from Milan, applaud them, because what they did today was absolutely stunning. What they've done all this Champions League was absolutely incredible. What they've done all this season is absolutely incredible. And this team needs our support more than ever because we still have La Liga. We have a very important match on Sunday against Real Madrid, where if we win, this league would mostly be done because then we would go to play the derby against Espanyol, and if we win against Espanyol, that's it. La Liga would be ours. They have won 3 trophies during Flick's first season with no signings, no reinforcements, and with such a young squad, this season would be for the books. This will be a historical season, and I'm positive and certain that in the future, we're going to remember this season, 2024, 2025, as the beginning of something amazing. Because what this team has done in such a short period of time with such young players, with no reinforcements, with no signings, has been no short of a miracle, has been no short of remarkable. This team has been absolutely amazing. I'm sad we didn't make it to the final, but today I walk away with my head held high, proud of this team, very, very hopeful for this future, because this team is only going to get better, and the only way is up. So, Visca Barca today and forever. Let's see what the chat section is saying, and then we will end the live stream because I do have to make some news videos, and we do have donations. Sanjog, who's always supporting this channel. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity, even on such a difficult day. But Sanjog says, got it, but very proud of this team. But fed up with Araujo, he can't defend 1v1 anymore. Let's sell him for 55 million and get a world-class fullback. Honestly, we don't even need to get a world-class fullback. We could sell Araujo, still keep Cubarsí and Iñigo, and we still would have Eric and Christensen. But I agree 100% with you. I think Araujo's time is up. I forgot to mention this. Ferran Torres. I don't know why I forgot. I got carried away. But another player that needs to leave this summer is Ferran. I think he had an incredible run coming off the bench, scoring goals. But let's not confuse performance with quality. Sure, Ferran performs every now and then, but he does not have the quality to be a Barcelona player. Today, he was on the field for almost 90 minutes, and I didn't see Ferran do anything besides flop. And this goes to my point before, where I used to say Ferran is a great player to come off the bench. He can give you a good 20, 30 minutes. But to start or to play an entire match, he's just not it. And again, if we want to make it far in the Champions League, in all competitions, we need players that can show up time and time again. And Ferran is not it. That's another player that needs to leave this summer. I know people were like, when he scored against Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey final, people are like, oh, Simon, where's your criticism? I mean, even there in that match where he scored the goal, the 2-2, he was still ghosting for most of the match. And we can't have that. If we want a team that can compete for all trophies, we need players that can show up time and time again. They can show up for the entire 90 minutes. Ferran is not one of them. And he needs to go as well. All right, now we can do the second donation from Oscar. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity. I don't know if you put a sticker and my stupid software doesn't let me see it, or if you try to leave a comment, but somehow you forgot, or or the system did not show your comment. But if that's the case, leave a comment in the chat section and I'll be looking for it and I'll make sure to read it. But thank you, my friend, for your donation. And let's see what everyone else is saying. Wow, this chat is popping. All right, let's see. MP7 says robbed by UEFA and VAR. I did not like the ref today at all. I think the handball in a penalty box should have been at least reviewed. I think the foul on Lamine, which ends up being a free kick, should have been examined by the VAR. I don't understand why referees are so eager to review every play that Barcelona does in the VAR, but when the plays are for the other team, they just don't even look. But nonetheless, ref or no ref, I think it's unacceptable what Araujo did. Rafinha scored that late third goal. It was 2-3. And we just needed to hold on to that. And the match could have ended at the 90th minute with a Barcelona victory. But instead, Araujo once again cost us 3-3. And then again, in Inter Milan's fourth goal, that was just terrible defending. So I don't want to talk about the ref too much because I think we had what it took to beat Inter Milan. It didn't happen. That's sports. I think the team competed, and that's all we could ask of a team like Barca. A team as big as Barca, the minimum should be that they should be able to compete against anyone in anywhere, in any competition, and that's exactly what Barcelona have been doing all season. They've been competing against everybody in all competitions. Today, they competed against Inter Milan. It didn't happen, but I'm sure it will next season because this team looks incredibly, incredibly promising. And like I said already 20 times, this team is only going to get better. Rogelio Gonzalez says, what about Gerard Martin showing his class later in the game? Those crosses came from nowhere. Incredible match by Gerard Martin. Again, during the podcast yesterday, I said I think Gerard Martin gets a lot more hate than what he deserves. Sure, he's not a world-class player. Sure, he is no Alejandro Balde. We can see it. I think you have to be blind not to see that. But the way people make it out to be like he's absolute trash and the worst player ever, I think that's undeserved. I mean, sure, he's not a flashy player, but he does the job. And at least he doesn't cost us the way Araujo continuously cost us. And there's no excuse for that because Araujo is a veteran. He's been playing for several seasons at Barcelona. He's a captain. He's in his prime. There's no excuse for that. Versus Gerard Martin, someone who just came up literally this season from Barca Athletic, third division. Before that, he was playing for Cornellà. So he's not even someone who came up through the academy. And for Gerard Martin to step up like that when Araujo, our own captain, cannot, I think that's unacceptable. And for people to give Gerard Martin the much shit that they give him, when we have Araujo doing the things that he does at his age, with his experience, with him being a captain, I don't understand it. Curtis says, proud of this team. They deserve credit for their fighting spirit. Ronald Araujo needs to get some intelligence or else he will be sold. I think it's time for him to be sold. Intelligence or no intelligence, I think we're past that point, and I think he needs to be sold. Carlos says, extremely proud of this team. Bravo to Martin and Eric for covering two extremely difficult players to substitute. Frankie finally tracking back. Love this team. It is what it is. 100% agree with you. I think today Eric and Gerard Martin stepped up. And I defended Eric for a very long time, and people used to always call him trash and that we need to get rid of him. And I think time has proven me right because Eric Garcia today was absolutely amazing in a position that he hasn't played in that entire season. You know how difficult it is to do that? To be asked to play a position that you haven't played, you can eventually master it. Like Kunde, when he first started, he wasn't that great. And eventually, with time, he got better. But for Eric Garcia, out of nowhere, you're playing right back. You've never played there the whole season. You're playing, and to show up in the Champions League semifinal against Inter Milan, that's incredibly, incredibly difficult. I mean, Eric Garcia, I'm glad Hansi Flick blocked Eric Garcia's exit twice because we are incredibly blessed to have Eric Garcia. This guy can do it all. Hey, we need a center back. Don't worry, I got it. Hey, we need a defensive midfielder. I got it. Hey, we need you to play left back. Sure. Hey, we need you to play right back. Sure. I mean, the only thing missing is for this guy to put on the gloves and just be like, all right, I'm being goalkeeper. Because, I mean, this guy does it all. Kay says it was a great match. We just needed to manage the game better at the final stages of the second half. 2-3 up. We needed to put up those antics, time wasting, and rolling over the pitch. I think it's unfortunate, but I think this is where the experience comes in, right? Like I said before, Inter Milan is a project that's been going on for 3 seasons now. So they're a team that are a lot more mature, a lot more well composed, and that showed today on the field. And that's why I say this team is only going to get better. This is our first season playing under Flake, under this new system. And next season, this team is only going to be better. They're only going to be more experienced. They're going to be older. And they would have had a whole season playing together. And a team that's more mature would have been able to hold on to the result. But this will come with time. And this is why I say I'm not mad at whatsoever. I'm very, very proud. I'm very, very hopeful because this is the benchmark we've set. A Spanish Super Cup, a Copa del Rey, first in La Liga, Champions League semifinal in our first season. That's Rebella's loading. It's not going to happen this season, but it is going to happen. Raul says, we've clearly been exposed. Our defenders always dropping stinkers when it matters. Fans were kissing Louis' ass when he got injured, forgetting he always drops stinkers. We need a left wing. I don't know if I could say Lewandowski dropped a stinker. I mean, he came in during the extra halves, and I think he only had like one chance. So I'm not gonna say he did great either, but I wouldn't say he dropped a stinker either. It wasn't enough time, honestly. I think he should have came on earlier because Ferran was absolute shit for 90 minutes. I think Lewandowski should have came in at the 70th minute or 60th minute. Definitely came in a little bit late, but I get it. He just came back from injury. Flake didn't want to risk him. After all, we still have La Liga to fight for. Sanjak says, I'm rewatching the match now. Their whole plan was to attack Gerard Martin, and it did work. His bad passes led to a penalty, and then he was also part of those 2 goals conceded towards the end. I wouldn't blame the 2 goals on him, the last 2 goals, but he did have a bad first half. But he definitely completely recomposed himself, and I think he had a stunning second half. And in extra halves, he continued to show up. He was exhausted. You could see it the way he was running. He was out of legs. But I wouldn't blame him on those 2 goals on him. I think those 2 goals are definitely Araujo's fault. And a little bit Covarsi on that last goal because he just like gets in a stance to try to block the shot and just sits there waiting. It's like if you see a guy with a ball inside the box, you immediately rush him. You don't wait and see like, all right, let me just no. You rush him. That guy had all the time in the world to control the ball, look up, figure out where he wants to shoot it, get in position, shoot the ball. He could have smoked a cigarette with Szczesny, drank a cup of coffee, and still had time to shoot it. Jose Aguilar says, thank you, Hansi, for making me fall in love again with the team. Awesome season. F the rest. F everyone against Barca. Araujo, what the fuck, bro? 100% agree with you with everything you said, my friend. Mirage says, Ronald Araujo is a very experienced player. He has not learned his mistakes, raising his hand for offside when Acerbi scored. Man, mark your... Yeah, that's another thing that drives me crazy about Araujo, and he's done it multiple times this season, including goals that have scored because he's too busy, lifted his hands and asking for an offside. It's like, dude, you stay focused. Once the play is over, then you can raise your hand all you want. You can go to the ref, scream at him, punch him in the face, whatever you want to do. But as long as the play is alive, you stay focused. You don't start bitching and whining for an offside when the other team is still attacking. Nova Champ says, playing Gerard was the right decision. If I had played Inigo left back, score would have been another 8-2, probably pure experience from Gerard and Covarsi. And Mike Valencia says, got it, but man, what a team we have. Many more chances in the upcoming season. 100% agree with you. Let's just let this sink in. Pau Covarsi is 18 years old. In 10 years, he will be in his prime at 28. Not even close to retirement or his form dipping. Lamine Yamal is 17 years old. In 10 years, he's only going to be entering his prime at 27. Pedri is 21. He still can give us another 12, 13 years. Let's say 12 because he'll be 33. Fermin, Gabi, Balde. I mean, we have another 10 years of this team. And if we make the right reinforcements, we have a team that can be incredibly dominant for the next 10 seasons. Let's not forget that. This is not the Luis Enrique team where amazing team, but everybody was reaching the end. And you're like, all right, well, how much longer can we sustain this? No, this is a team where you're like, shit, this team could be good for the next 10 years. And that's something very exciting. Very, very, very exciting. This is like the Pep Guardiola Barca, where they were dominant and you knew, man, we have a young Messi, a young Boozy, a young Piqué, a young Iniesta, a young Xavi. This team is going to be dominant for many, many more seasons. That's the case now, but even younger. We even have a younger team than them. So this is a team that could be one of the best, if not the best in Europe for the next 10 seasons. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, it sucks today, but there's no reason to be mad because our future looks bright. Our future looks incredibly, incredibly bright. Zach Urban says, hey, Mo, things I learned from this game. We need a deeper bench, especially the fullbacks, and Frankie is very inconsistent and unreliable player. I mean, I've been saying that all season, but people say I'm a Frankie hater. This is the day and age we live in. There was the age of reason, and back in the day, we're living in the age of unreason, where the reason doesn't exist. Where if someone has an opinion against you, it just means you're a hater. If I say Frankie doesn't play good, it means I personally hate Frankie. It's not that he's not playing well. No, I personally hate him. That's the only reason someone could criticize Frankie is because they personally hate him. Same with Rafinha, same with Xavi, same with any player that does bad. The only possible reasonable reason that could exist for criticizing a player is because you personally hate him. Not because they're not doing well. No, because you personally hate them. That's the day and age we live in, where reason has gone out the window. Nobody can think anymore. Nobody can reason anymore. Nobody can argue anymore. It's either my way, or if not, that means you're stupid, you're an idiot, you're a hater, blah, 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 blah. Cesar Gutierrez says, this was a phenomenal game. This is a great experience for our young team. Extremely proud of our boys, and I hope this serves as a battery in their back rather than air out of their lungs. 100% agree with you. I'm sure this is going to be, demoralizing for the players. I think they were very hopeful, and they expected to make it to the final. But I think this is where Hansi Flick needs to shine. This is Hansi Flick's moment, because the team will be demoralized. The team is going to be demoralized, but this is where Flick needs to be the experienced coach that he is and find a way to remotivate the player and remind them how far we've come and how we still have another trophy to fight for, La Liga. So if Hansi Flick does his job, he'll be able to motivate these players again, because on Sunday, we need to win. We still have another trophy that we need to compete for. And Sanjok, my God, Sanjok, you are so generous, my friend. Thank you. A million times thank you. But Sanjok says, I don't understand why it took Flick almost 80 minutes to sub Ferran. Shark looked like a canned tuna today. We need a striker with a killer instinct. I think it has to do with the fact that Lewandowski just came back from injury. So probably, these decisions are made before the game, where Flick talks to the player, talks to the medical staff, to the fitness coaches, and they're like, all right, give it to me straight. How many minutes can this guy play? So that probably what drove his decision. And they probably told him, he can maybe play 10 minutes, or so he brought him at the 80th. Or maybe they told him he can play 30 minutes, but Flick thinking this could go to extra halves. That means I can't bring him before. I'm sure that's what played a role. Obviously, I can't say 100%. I'm not Flick. I wasn't there in the locker room with him. But that's my guess. But yes, I agree. Ferran Torres was absolute shit. Funk Frank says, come on, Mo, I disagree. Highly, Rafinha needs to stay. Just like Araujo has no place in Flick's team, that Rafinha has a place in Flick's team. First of all, I didn't say Rafinha needs to leave. No point. I said that. If you want to disagree with me, that's cool, but at least disagree with what I'm actually saying. Not with what you heard, because I didn't say Rafinha should not stay. I said we should rethink, we should pump the brakes on the renewal, and we should wait to see how he does next season. Because let's look at this. Rafinha is 28, right? He's been playing, I can't remember when he moved to Europe. 10 years ago. Let's just say 10, just for the sake of argument, okay? He's been every season up until now. Average. 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 average, great. So you look at the record, you got 9 seasons of being average and 1 season of being great. Statistically speaking, what are the odds that next season he's also going to be great? You have 9 seasons of average, 1 great. What does your common sense tell you that most likely next season he will be? Great or average? Most likely he will be average again. Now, of course, he could prove us all wrong or prove me wrong and end up having another great season. And this is why I'm saying we should pump the brakes. I'm not saying give him the boot or sell him. Say, hold on the renewal. Let's see how he does next season. If he does great again or close, doesn't even have to match his numbers from this season, close, renew him. But what happens if we renew him now? We add 2 more years to his contract, and next season he goes back to being average. And then the next season he's average again. Now what? Now you're stuck with a player who has a high salary for 4 more years, and he's not doing anything. Then what? Then we're back in the same boat of Lenglet, Umtiti, and all these players who we signed for many, many years, and they were just sitting there collecting money, and they were stuck there. So I'm not saying give Rafinha the boot. I'm saying let's wait and see how he does next season. And if he does great, amazing. Renew him. If he doesn't, sell him or let him finish his contract. I mean, that's a pretty common sense thing to do. Jay Ant says, yes, guys, Araujo needs to go. It was all for him 2 years ago. He was a monster versus Vinny in Clásicos before, but Mo is 100% right. Araujo cost us last year with his red. In this game, enters 3rd and 4th. I agree, my friend. And FC Carlito says, one thing you have always said is under Xavi, there was no project, but under Flick, you see the project and you see the potential that's coming for this club. That's not what I always said under Xavi. Again, I'm all for disagreeing with me. Please disagree with what I actually said. For the first 2 seasons of Xavi, when he came, people used to attack him all the time. And you could go back. This is the beauty about YouTube. The videos are there. The comments are there. The receipts are there. And I used to say, guys, chill. This is a project. You cannot expect Xavi to come here and then make this team into a winning team overnight. It's not going to happen. It took Pep Guardiola like 3 or 4 seasons to turn Manchester City into a winning team. It took Simone Inzaghi 3 seasons to turn Inter Milan into a good team. It's taken Arteta 3 or 4 seasons to turn Arsenal into a winning team. It takes time. And that's what I was saying consistently about Xavi. You go back and watch the videos. But 2 years in, this team wasn't getting better. It was actually getting worse. So that's when I said, okay, there is no project. Because a project, sure, it takes time. But during that time, you could see the team getting better slowly. And I wasn't seeing that with Xavi, right? It's like a tree. When you plant seed in the ground, it's not going to be a tree overnight. It's going to grow over time and eventually it will become a tree. But before you get to that level where it's actual tree, you can see the growth. You can see it sprouting out of the ground. You can see the branches getting longer. You can see the trunk getting wider. So you know that you're not there yet. It's not a tree yet. It's not a fully grown tree yet, but you know it's getting there. But if you put the seed in the ground and nothing happens after 2 years, it's not that you're not there yet. It's there is no tree. The seed is obviously dead because nothing is sprouting out of the ground. And that's what happened with Xavi. For 2 seasons, I was like, all right, hold on, guys, hold on. You know, it's a project. And then the last season, I'm like, okay, this team is not only not getting better, it got worse. So there is no project. See the difference? Godfrey says, Barca was robbed with the 3rd goal. It was a foul on Gerard Martin, and that's final. It was very clear. Oscar says, Flick like center back who are good with their feet, and Araujo is not we need like Schlotterbeck from Dortmund or Bastoni. The same Bab says, hey Mo, I'm proud of FC Barcelona, but honestly, I think we missed Balde because his presence would have kept Dumfries more silent and operational. I think we missed both our fullbacks, but I think Eddie Garcia was just amazing on the right back. Fumlani said, obviously no Kunde, but he was still great. Fumlani says, wait, do we have another donation? Oh, I missed a donation. All right, let me Let me get back to you from Lani real quick. But Chin, my friend Chin, who is on, thank you so much for your generosity, but says, I would have preferred Flick sub Ferran for another defensive player. We didn't need another goal. We just had to see the game out. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Let me think. I think when Lewy came in, was it already 3-2? Or was it 2-2? I think it was still 2-2 when Lewy came in. I think the 3-2 came in like at the 80th minute, or 88th minute or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you guys remind me. I can't remember. But I don't think that would have made a difference because that goal was just, it wasn't like the team was all up and then Inter Milan caught us in a counterattack with our pants down. The whole defense was in the box. The whole team was defending. But Cubarsi just got in the way. Araujo, I don't know what he was doing. He was like drinking mate and smoking a cigarette on the side. And they gave, I forgot his name, the Inter Milan player, all time in the world. Like, it literally takes 3-4 seconds. And he like brings the ball down, controls it, looks up, sees where he wants to shoot, gets in position, shoots it, and everybody's just like, and it's like, what are you doing? You see a player get the ball in the box, you rush him immediately. Immediately you rush him. Even if he gets the shot out, if you rush him immediately, you're gonna force him to get the shot as fast as possible. So it's not gonna be as good as when you have the whole day to do it. I mean, that's a basic rule in any sport, not just football, like basketball. When a player gets the ball, you rush him. You don't give him all time in the world to look up at the basket and jump. And no, you try to make it as uncomfortable as possible for him, even if he gets the shot out, because it's not going to be as good as a shot if he has to immediately shoot it. But anyways, Kay says, Lamine hit the post 3 times in 2 legs, and Sommer got man of the match today. He stopped 14 shots on target. Barca played well in both legs. I agree. I think even Barca played better than Inter. But this is when experience comes in, right? We have an Inter Milan, a project that's been going on for 3 years. Our team, young, first season, no reinforcements, versus Inter, who have been, again, cooking on for 3 seasons, getting better as a whole, getting better playing together, developing chemistry, making reinforcements. That's when the difference came. But I think Barcelona played better, actually, than Milan. Luis Sanchez says, Flick didn't park the bus for 5 minutes. He subbed Robert, but didn't tighten the defense. No Gabi or Christensen to help out. We also missed a couple of clear shots that Real Madrid will pay on Saturday. I think this whole, we need to park the bus, I think we need to stop with this, because we're not a team that parks the bus, and therefore we're not a team that knows how to park the bus. So to ask a team to do something they don't know how to do, it doesn't make sense, because what's going to be, it would have been worse. They would have scored 2 goals on us instead of 1. Because we don't know how to park the bus. It's not something we do. It's like watching a team like Atletico Madrid and be like, oh, in the last 20 minutes, they should have played a high line and should have. No, because that's not what they do. They don't know how to do that. So why do you expect Barcelona to know how to park the bus when it's not something they know how to do? Ozzy says, I'm glad that Gerard Martin is slowly fitting in, but I would have loved seeing Christensen played over Araujo. Gabi should have started over De Jong because it's more like a Gabi type match. I think I would be okay with both, yeah. I think that the logic probably behind Christensen is the fact that he just came back from injury. So probably it would have been risky to have Christensen start in a Champions League semifinal after being absent for 9 months. But yeah, I mean, hindsight, I guess, yeah, I would have rather Christensen, because I know Christensen, despite not being informed because he's been out for 9 months, I still think he would have done better than Araujo. And Chuchu says, Chuchu, my man, haven't seen you in a while. Says, don't forget Bernal. Yeah, 100% I agree, my friend, because, that's why I say this team is only going to get better. And Realtor Prayer says, one job for Araujo, but he failed. He's not fit to wear the captain band. Agree. I think it's time for him to bounce. And Elvidin says, this is why you always have squad depth, because season is very long and many games, Balde and Kunde injured and you in trouble. True, but, we don't have money. We sold assets to get money. We spent it all on Xavi signings, and most of them left because they were shit signings. So Flick was, people talk about, oh, Xavi inherited the worst Barca. I'm like, did he though? Because Barcelona spent 300 million on his signings. Now imagine had we brought Flick and spent that money on Flick signings. because Flick took the team that they gave him. No signings, nothing. He didn't request anything. He got Dani Olmo, but he didn't request Dani Olmo. And he turned this team into a winning one. So, Fumlani says, Vizca Barca, we were never going to win this semifinal because Inter scored 7 goals against us. This is Inter only scored 1 goal in their last 4 games without playing Barca. I feel very hurt and proud. I disagree with that. Again, like Johan Cruyff always said, it's just about outscoring your opponent. That's it. If they score 4, we score 5. If they score 10, we score 11. This whole, oh, I'm worried that they score against us, that's bullshit because you are going to get scored on. The Barca DNA is you win, and you win by putting on a show. And when you are a team that takes risks, that plays entertaining football, you get exposed because that's the nature of it. If you got to attack and attack and attack, you're going to leave spaces in the back. So you are going to get scored on. There's no way to stop that. There's no way. You either sit back, defend all match, and it's a boring match, or you either attack all match, and it's an entertaining match. The Barca DNA is to win, but winning in an entertaining way. So getting scored on is totally okay as long as you outscore your opponent. So this whole about, oh, we getting scored on, yeah, that's the whole point. That's okay to get scored on as long as we outscore our opponent. Today, we weren't able to outscore our opponent, but it's not about lessening how many goals we get scored. And that's why, for example, Xabi's Barca was so boring because he was so scared to get scored on that he didn't commit to either. He wanted to play offensive football, but at the same time, he was scared to get scored on. So it was kind of like, okay, defend, but not fully defend because we also need attack, but don't fully attack because we also need to defend because I don't want to score. And he couldn't commit to one or the either. So you either fully defend the entire time and win by 1-0, or you attack the entire time. And yes, you get scored on, but you also score 5 goals. You have to pick. You can't have it both ways. Kill Bill Matt says, and you don't win Champions League if you can't defend. You can't outscore everyone. That's not true. Yes, you can. I mean, look where we are. We are where we are because we have scored everybody. 8 remontadas this season. We were down 2-0 against Inter Milan last first leg. We ended up 3-3. We were down 2-0 this. We were down 2-1 against Madrid. We won the Copa del Rey. We were down 1-0 against Madrid. We ended up 5-2, won the Spanish Super Cup. We were down against Benfica, against Atletico Madrid, against Celta. I mean, 8 comebacks. Yes, you can outscore everyone. And if you can, there's not something you're not doing right. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Again, tough day. Sad, disappointed, got it. But nonetheless, very, very, very proud of this team. We have an incredibly, incredibly promising squad, a young squad under a new coach who, despite being his first season with no reinforcements, he has taken us all the way here. Spanish Super Cup champions, Copa del Rey champions, first in La Liga and hopefully La Liga champions pretty soon, and a semifinal where, honestly, I think we played better than Inter, but luck wasn't on our side. That's okay because this team is only going to get better. And we have a team that can be the best in Europe for the next 10 seasons. So by no means this is the end. This might be the end for our Champions League season this year. But this is only the beginning of what looks like a very promising and golden era, another golden era of FC Barcelona football. Vizca Barça, now and forever. And I will see you in the next video.